All right, so it's at 5:40. We are going to call this meeting to order. This is the May 12th, 2026 Planning Commission Reorganization meeting. I see that we have all members present. The next item on the agenda is 3, the annual board reorganization. Before we proceed, the municipal office would like to make a recommendation that the board make a motion to appoint Noah Schmidt as the Planning Commission Chair and Ed DeTavio as the Vice Chair.
That's
So
not
with that,
that's not
I'm going to be
appropriate.
opening up
That's not
elect
appropriate
chair
to
of the
do.
board. Would somebody make a motion?
That should not happen. This, obviously,
Would
this
somebody
was,
like to make a motion?
no, this was discussed outside of this meeting, and that's not an open meeting. You're
was
supposed to
not.
make recommendations for chair and vice chair.
They're frequently was recommended at the select board meeting as well, Terry. So would somebody like to make a motion?
It's inappropriate for you to do that at this meeting. I just want to go on the record to say that.
Understood.
That's inappropriate.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Noah Schmidt as chairperson.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Board has it. I will now hand it off to the chair.
Okay, next on the agenda is elect vice chair of the board. Is
I'd
there a
like to
motion?
nominate Ed for vice chair.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of electing Ed to vice chair, signify by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. Elect clerk of the board.
I can't make motions, so.
Is that anything you're interested in,
I
Terry?
am interested in it,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make a
What I
motion
used to do.
to appoint Terry Carter as clerk of the board.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the ayes have it. Designate newspaper of record.
I think you forgot recording secretary.
Oh, recording secretary.
I'd like to nominate Alicia.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Alicia. Like you had a choice. Designate newspaper of record. That's-
Nominate the Journal with Rutland Herald as a backup.
Second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. And adopt rules of procedure. This is something that Select Board has adopted, the Vermont League of Cities and Towns revised Robert's Rules, and I think it makes sense for us to follow suit with what they're doing.
I'll make a motion to adopt Vermont League of Cities and Towns Rules of Procedure, the same one that the Select Board adopted, the same version.
In a second?
Second.
I'll second.
I heard Ted.
May I make a motion to discuss?
And, yeah, discussion?
Do you have a copy of those rules?
Do we have that in the
Yep,
packet?
it's in here.
Okay.
It should be in your packets. Yeah, I got copies. This one.
So,
Oh.
and Matthew, part of the reasoning behind that was they looked at how towns are actually operating, and we typically towns typically didn't follow the letter of Robert's Rules, a little confusing, and so they kind of came up with this revised version that kind of follows how things are actually done. in the
Yeah, no, I
municipalities.
appreciate having the actual
Yeah.
rules so I can,
And they're also our insurers, and so they want to make sure we're
yeah.
doing things properly, so,
Those rules are consistent with the select board currently using.
yeah. In fact,
Makes sense to do
last
so.
year, we decided to do that, but we made a lot of changes. We could change it at each board, but rather than spend time doing that, I think we should just go for the selectmen's version of it, the one that, the choices they made.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of adopting the LCT rules of procedure signify by saying aye.
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 And do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second by Ted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any changes, additions, removals to the agenda? Okay.
Oh, wait, I have
Voting in
one.
progress.
I think we can eliminate number 10, rules of procedure. Oh, wait, those were Judy's questions, never mind. And answers.
Yep. All right, moving on to approval of minutes. We have February 25th, 2026, and April 29th, 2026.
Why didn't we do February?
It was overlooked.
I can't speak to February, but I can make a motion to approve April 29th.
Can we do one at a time in case they have something, please, because I make notes on it.
Oh,
There is Ed made a motion to approve April 29th, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And February 25th.
Oh, yeah, I just had one picky-uni thing. Section 7D, number 9, just correct the word send.
What page is that?
5.
Oh, yes.
That's it, that's all I had.
So do you want to make a motion with those approved changes? Or with those changes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the February minutes with the change to 7D, number 9, said to send.
And we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, comments from citizens.
I'm sorry, sir, what's your name?
Richard Owen, OWEN.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, notice from the chair.
Got any notices?
I have no notices. Up to town zoning updates with Martha Harrison from Mark. Moving on to Article 5 in the town bylaws. Martha, you ready for us?
Is that the community section?
Can she hear us? I know sometimes we have.
She's still muted.
She's on mute.
Yeah, sometimes they have a hard time hearing us.
There it is.
There we go, okay.
I hope you can hear me. I can't hear anyone though. So
We're
I was
here.
gonna just leave and come back and see if that fixes it.
Can you hear us now?
So be right
Hold
back.
a second, Martha.
Oh, maybe that needs to be the central mic.
It should be coming
Somebody
from
say
these
something,
two.
please.
Hi, Martha.
Can you hear?
Left.
Oh, she went out.
I think she-
This hasn't worked in this room a couple of times.
I know.
It's like a 20-second delay.
Yeah, that was a lot of
Oh,
fun
that was bad.
at the Board of Trustees
That
meeting.
was a few
Tell me.
times. It's, if you're online, she won't be able to do it. 'Cause you won't be able to hear what people say.
It's been like this, we gotta fix
30
it.
seconds later.
Yeah.
Can you tell if there's audio input?
Yeah, so it does look like Zoom isn't getting audio, so I'll text her right here in the chat real quick.
Yeah, if Eric puts his.
She's back and she's muted.
Who's that?
That was back to me from
I
here.
heard something.
That was just me.
Oh, yeah, I guess, may have to turn your laptop volume off.
Yeah, it does. She'll hear me, but she might not hear you guys.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I still can't hear you.
Could somebody go
Yeah.
into chat and tell her we can hear her?
Yeah.
Rebecca, should I do Zoom on my
Is it
computer?
well
Yes.
down there?
Yeah,
That's what we did
might
before.
need to
Call her on speaker.
try that.
I can call her on my
Put
phone
her on
too.
speaker.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Justin did at the Board of Trustees meeting. when
Mute her and
it
put her
didn't
on
work.
speakerphone.
Mhm.
Try just changing one thing.
Speakerphone's gone.
How about now? Can you hear us now, Martha?
Yes.
Oh,
Yay.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, Martha, we are ready for you if you can hear us now.
Yes, I can, thank you. And am I able to share?
Just not allowed.
Should be all set.
You're all set, Martha?
Okay. Hang on, oops. Okay. So today, it's been a couple months, so I wanted to go back and review what we discussed last time quickly, show you what that looks like. We talked about eliminating section 510.3 by moving number 3 and 4 to section 260.2. So that is right here. I think, yes. So we eliminated 2 of the requirements under 510.3 and added these 2 here. I can jump ahead to 510.3 if that will make more sense. Or does this make sense?
So move 3 and 4 to site plan.
It's on page 26.
Yeah, I guess all I have is the revision portion of it, so, okay. I see that, yeah.
I'll jump ahead, so maybe it'll make more sense. So these were special public use exceptions that applied to the list of uses that you can only regulate in certain ways, like schools and churches and things like that. But some of these were already covered under site plan review. The landscaping and screening in number 1, that's already required under site plan review. And then this traffic circulation and parking and loading and everything is also already required under site plan review. So it was just these 2, 3, and 4 that needed to be moved to site plan review. And this number 4 had to be revised a little bit because for residential uses, you can't require, you can't make changes to what's required for residential uses anymore because of Act 180. So this ensures that everything that was covered under 510.3 is now covered under 260.2. So you can eliminate 510.3. And it's, it's easier to follow here because this is where you find all the other site plan review standards rather than putting it, in Article 5 when everything else is in 260.2. So.
It's really just organizational formatting kind of a change.
For the most part, and eliminating some repetition, and then, like I said, making it conform with Act 181.
Yep.
Maybe it was the Home Act, one of those. Were there any questions about that?
Nope, makes sense.
Okay. The other thing we talked about last time was 520.6. The lots that are in 2 different zoning districts. And I mean, we did talk maybe about changing your zoning maps so that there aren't any lots that get bisected by zoning districts. But in the meantime, it was suggested that the requirements for the district in which a majority of the lot is located should apply to a lot that's bisected by a zoning district. So I made that change, and then I looked at what do other towns in our area do, and many of them have the majority of their zoning districts follow parcel boundaries, but where they don't, like in Chester, they approached it by saying that the dimensional standards for the district where the structure is physically located will apply, which is another interesting option. So I talked to Aaron last week, and we kind of considered maybe doing both for a lot that is undeveloped. You could have it be that where the majority of the lot is located, that would be the district where the standards would apply. And then if the lot is developed, then you could look at where the primary structure is located and have the standards for that district apply. So I did make those changes, and I can switch documents for you and let you look at those. But I thought I'd go through all the things that we discussed last time first, and then maybe do the switch over. The other thing that Aaron suggested when we talked was I had made a bunch of suggestions about your performance standards, and then a few suggestions about the camping trailer section. And she thought it would be easier if I just went ahead and put those suggestions in so you could look at them. But so I can also pull those up once we get through this. The other thing I wanted to show you was we talked about parking. there was a question about studios and one-bedroom apartments could just have one parking space rather than 1.5. And I looked into that, and that is an option, and that seemed to be what you wanted. So I went ahead and made that change as well. You just can't require more than 1.5, but you can require less. So now it says 2-unit and multi-unit dwellings that are not served by municipal sewer and water. A, studios and one-bedroom units, 1 parking space per dwelling unit. B, units with 2 or more bedrooms, 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit. And those are rounded up to the nearest whole number. So
In essence, is that asking for 2? 'Cause it's rounded
So
up?
when it comes to multifamily properties,
Yeah.
let's say it's 5 units, you do 5 units times 1.5, which is,
Okay.
who's good at math?
7.5.
Yeah, so 7.5, and then I believe it's rounded up, correct, Martha?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so then
So you'd have
if
to
somebody
add
came with an
a-
application for 5 unit, they would have to provide 8 parking spaces in this regard. Which frankly, based on my conversations with a lot of applicants, more parking spaces per unit is an easier to get tenants or future sales on the condo units, the more parking you provide.
Sure.
Especially when it's multi-bedrooms.
So 1.5 right now is currently the max, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's the requirement,
unit.
yep, and then if they want to provide more, that would be great.
But we
At
can, you
least.
can also minimize that requirement, so we can do one spot per dwelling unit.
So this is regarding that are not served by municipal water and sewer. Act 181 requires
Not on
us.
municipal.
Yeah.
okay,
Yep,
I
if it is
yeah.
served by municipal water and sewer, then it must be 1 per unit.
Yeah.
As our requirement. If somebody wants to provide more, that's up to the applicant.
I was thinking specifically on municipal water.
Yep,
So,
yep, no, that one is specifically not served.
Martha, can I backtrack just for a minute? The 520.6, the lots in 2 zoning districts, you said you made
Yeah.
that change about a place that has a structure, but I don't see it as part of the lots in 2 zoning. It's just your comment, because I think we should add it.
Yeah, no, so, I talked to Erin on last Thursday, and she suggested that, or I don't know which one of us suggested, but, that another option might be, if there's a structure on the parcel, then let that be the determining factor. And if it's an undeveloped lot with no structure, then let the size of the lot be the determining factor.
Right, I think that's a good idea. So that language will get added to 520.6.
Yeah, I did add it. Right now, I'm just looking, I'm using the document that you all distributed, but I can switch over to my master document and show you what that looks like.
No, you don't have to do that. I just want to make sure it got added, because it's just in the comments here.
Yeah, I agree with
Right.
Terry. I think that having, especially when something's on the lot, I'm thinking something that is in the village and they have a bunch of acreage back in the woods or something.
Mm.
If the majority of that is in, I don't know.
Town
in a-
residential.
Yeah, town residential,
Village.
that, we don't want that that little section in the village or something that's more restrictive. I wonder are there any cases, maybe aquifer or, and maybe there's more protections there, or the lake, where we have a big lot that's majority less restrictive, and it gives them the ability to, do more than what we would
Want in the
want.
aquifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Does the undeveloped land, is that risky or anything, or should we have it be where the building is situated?
Or maybe aquifer should take precedence over other
It's really up to
districts.
the board. I mean, I think it's fine either way, so.
Because aquifer requires 5 acres.
Yep.
So I have a comment. And I don't know if this makes sense, but in order to simplify things, and instead of looking at a property whether it has a structure or the majority of the parcel is X amount in this size, whatever, how difficult is it just to make it boundary line district.
So that would require like rezoning the property.
Yeah.
And as of right now, it is, to the best of my knowledge, we don't do rezoning in the
It
town
would
of
be
Ludlow.
rezoning a lot of properties.
I'm just.
So when I'm
instead-
looking at properties,
Yeah.
I just go based off of what the majority zoning district covers.
Sure.
I know Martha and I have looked at one, I asked them to use their GIS to measure it out, to determine, because it can be a little difficult sometimes on my software to determine what the majority is if it looks pretty close. So usually a survey from the applicant will clarify that.
Okay.
So-
Matthew, I think to the point, that is the ideal. The
Yeah.
property is in one zoning district. Would it be bad to, or I guess, are there any loopholes in saying, hey, wherever that structure is, whatever zoning district the structure's in is what guides that structure's
Yeah, I don't see an
zoning?
issue with it, and if they, well, let's say the more land is in the more restrictive zoning, they can always subdivide and do something along those nature. So,
Yeah, I mean, you really have to get the map and look at it, and look at some individual specific situations, to really start understanding, how it might impact some specific properties. I mean, this is all gonna be subject to public hearing, so it is okay to change your maps and give people an opportunity to object if they don't like the changes that you made to the map. We also need to do some public outreach, and maybe this would be a good topic to include in that.
So I agree. I just wondering, instead of, and I'm just trying to formulate the amount of work in studying every property and weather structure, land, this and that, and I know it's a Herculean effort to make it boundary line, but maybe the long-term goal is to make it boundary line, but that also requires studying the properties, and if there's aquifers or water feature, pond or something, right, or different
Yeah.
things that come in. I mean, is that like years down the road kind of a thing, or?
no, I mean, I would suggest maybe if Kellen's available, Kellen from Mount Scottney Regional Commission, she
Yeah.
oversees the GIS, and they're doing a lot of the GIS mapping right now to update the regional future land use maps. And one of the things we were doing was snap to parcel line, which is an easy thing you can do in the GIS system.
Yeah.
And then hopefully we can at least highlight which parcels were updated in the GIS database. So if that's the board's favor, I can definitely reach out to Kellen and see if she can discuss the mapping technique.
Well, I'm just bringing it up just to
It's a great point.
point that instead of it becoming each property that is close, now we have to analyze each property, where if we just analyze the whole thing, where you can do GIS mapping, snap it in place, we're still gonna have a public hearing, is that correct?
Yep.
Right? And then landowners could come in
Express
and
grievances, if they have an issue
express
with
that.
their zoning changes or.
Yeah.
For zoning change.
Yeah.
I mean, I think making it a standard would make it much easier for your department, correct?
Yes.
So I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
down the road, I mean, it's planning, right? So we set it, we maybe go down that road and just do it. But again, we still have to look in to individual parcels and people can come in. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make a point instead of,
And that's why we have a DRB too.
Yeah.
so they can
Do
figure
you
it out.
see, with the village-town merger, would we get rid of a village, or would we combine a village and town district that maybe are on, that kind of makes sense, but they were just split by village and town? And I guess what I'm getting at is, does it make sense to kind of look at the zoning districts at the same time that we may rezone things subject to property boundaries?
Absolutely, and I think a great opportunity for us to start looking at these zoning districts is when we're looking at our, updating our municipal plan, because that's gonna be our future land use maps as well. So in zoning, we have the regional future land use maps, our future land use maps, and our zoning, right? So for us to get in the middle right there, while regional's updating their future land use maps would be ideal, but updating our zoning maps is likely, in a procedural way, it would make the most amount of sense to do it after we adopt our municipal plan, which is due by September 2027. And the future land use map associated with it will help us really guide the zoning map to fix errors that haven't been updated. And I mean, when was the last time we updated our zoning map? 2016, I think, is the date on it. So.
So what I would propose is adding in basically what Chester has, wherever the building is, that's the zoning district that applies to that, and then we make sure we look at this rezoning by property boundaries when
Definitely.
we are ready for that.
And another thing that we did at Mount Wescotney Regional Commission when we were updating the future land use maps is we created a story map for the public to like drop a little graphic and then add comments and stuff. So that's another thing we can potentially look into. We'd have to come up with funding for the story map, but it was very resourceful because we were able to get the comments for people to make comments. So.
Would the outreach be maybe partake in, like, if we knew where those changes are going to take place and which properties are going to be impacted in the switch, would we reach out directly to those parcel owners and say, hey, listen, your zoning is changing, and give them a heads up directly instead of just kind of announce it as a group? Because some people may not be paying attention to that in town.
I think you should.
I think
it's appropriate.
I think it's appropriate to let them know ahead of time, and then if they can come and have a grievance.
Yep, kind of do it the way the assessors do it.
Yeah.
Definitely, I agree.
Okay, sorry, Martha, make you backtrack.
Yeah,
Back to
no.
parking?
Oh, that's all good.
Do we have an opportunity to get public input right now, or are we gonna?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think your suggestion was a good one, and that is when you have environmentally sensitive areas, you throw that in as an exception for the time being, so that this way you're protected both ways. And it gets you what needs to be done in the short term till you get the boundaries reset. And from my experience, I don't want to brag by saying that I've got 25 years of planning experience in New Jersey, and I'm now have been a landowner or a property owner for 5 years. And I met Erin, she goes, why don't you come to our planning board meetings? And so that's why I'm here tonight. But so if you don't mind me adding suggestions to you while you're working, I'll be glad to offer suggestions. But I think your point was well taken for the time being. But as you mentioned, I've had many experiences, not necessarily pleasant, where parcels have been rezoned, they were properly noticed, everybody knew about it, but then a developer comes in, wants to build, and I have the torches and pitchforks in the room, all upset that we didn't know the zoning was going on. So in New Jersey, you only have to notify everybody within 200 feet of a parcel, but it was published in the local newspapers and everything else, and my attitude is, I hold public meetings and nobody shows up. If you came, we would listen for your input. So notifying the people directly, I think, is the safest way in the long term not to have a problem. So thank you for letting me speak.
Yeah. Thanks for speaking.
Yeah. Good feedback.
No, can I have one?
Yeah.
Just backing up, sorry, Martha, would you mind backing up to the first section there?
Which one?
The first one that we discussed,
260,
following along there.
site plan approval?
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. And if you call, I said I had one that I couldn't remember, I had a little concern about it, I just see it here. And it's number 1, and it's just the vagueness of this language. To protect the privacy of adjoining property owners, additional yard space or property line setbacks beyond what is already specified in district may be required.
Only for non-residential.
Yeah, that language is a little concerning, though. I mean, we have setbacks for a reason, and I'm just concerned that something could get derailed because it's so vague. Like, you know, what is the privacy piece of it mean, and can someone derail a project based just on this language here? You know, we have setbacks. If a project meets the setbacks, we're now saying, well, we're changing those setbacks. I haven't thought it all the way through, but it sort of struck me as a little concerning, just the way it's spelled out there.
I'm gonna
Right.
agree.
And you, you can't do it for residential. You could specify an amount, if you want to be more specific, like it could be increased by, 10% or, a certain whatever amount that you're comfortable with.
Just when things go to the DRB, you just never know what's gonna come out of that, And it's, I don't know, I'd like to see something a little more firm. or-
Specific.
Yeah, it just stood out to me quickly. I'm like, wait a minute. We may need to change the setbacks. Something that sort of hit me.
Well, one thing you might want to add also is adjacent residential property owners versus regular owners, because that's always been a concern when you put something non-residential next to a residential. And being on that, if you look at the heights, you can also work on, as the height increases, then the setback has to increase. So that way it gives you more setbacks, just like the skyscrapers in New York City when they had to have the air rights. I think the same thing, I'm glad you brought it back up, was number 2, where it's vague. You might want to say that, if a property is going to be 10, 15, 20% bigger than the average size, that would be permitted. If you want to go over, now you've got to seek a variance to do something like that. So you're now making it very specific. You want the town to grow. People want bigger houses in particular, but you don't want to have Princeton, New Jersey suffering from the tear down McMansions going up on postage size lots. So, and again, just a suggestion for you. Not to complicate things.
Aaron, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Martha, can you just remind us where we got this section from? Because the number 1 and 2 are rather vague. Were we referencing somebody else's zoning bylaws as an example, or?
Not that I'm aware of. If we go to 510.3 here, it says number 3 was to protect the privacy of adjoining property owners, additional yard or setbacks of the use from the property line other than what is already required in the district may be required. So it's basically just very similar language, but moved into the other section and specifying that it can't be applied to a residential use. And the same with 4. So you already have very similar provisions in your regulations, and I'm not sure where they originally came from. But basically, I probably, knowing me, tweaked the language a little bit without changing the meaning, and then took out and made sure it wasn't referencing residential, and then moved it. So
I guess I would be curious to know what's prohibited by state statute in this regard, if we could find that.
I don't know if there's a specific statute that would reference this, but I can look for that and let you know.
Okay.
And I guess the purpose of this is, hey, I open up a restaurant and it's super close to that, and that affects a residential, or I guess affects, residential use.
Again, this is for public uses.
Yep.
Only. Per 221.5.
I think when you're I'm just making a comment, I think when you're designating commercial spaces, right, non-residential, when you look at the district maps and you see where commercial is allowed, whether it's on Route 100 North or in town or Route 100 South or something of that nature, as a property owner, knowing that this district zoning allows residential and commercial, I understand that the idea is to create more of a space to protect privacy, but in development purposes, sometimes that's not even feasible, right? I understand what the comments that have been made, and I'm trying to figure out, like, how that wording would actually come into play, you know, on.
So, Potbelly
Yep.
space. They decide, hey, we're gonna move the building to the back of the lot. We'll
Mhm.
follow setback rules. Would that trigger this because we have residential on the back side of it?
That's a good point. I think that would be triggered by this.
You have parking all on the first floor, like underneath the building, and you bring the building all the way to the back. Does that limit? And that's an area where, hey, it's Main Street. That's the area where you'd want to develop.
Yeah.
Maybe we should look at prescribing a percentage, 5 or 10%, so at least future applicants can have some rest assurance that if the DRB decides to increase the setbacks, it will not be more than 5 or 10%.
Yep. I think percentage makes sense, and I guess I'd be curious, are we pulling that percentage out of the sky?
Yeah,
Well, I was
What
just
is
thinking that, like, what.
I think it's the leeway is deliberately left in there.
I think the definition is the way to go, but not pulling it out of the sky.
Yeah. If it's a 10-foot setback and 5%, okay, like, it's 10 and a half feet, that doesn't change, that doesn't move the needle necessarily. But if it's a 50-foot setback, that could really change, and it's 5%.
I have seen language on de minimis adjustments. Usually if someone can't quite meet the setback, like it's a 30-foot setback and they've got 28 feet, you know, sometimes there's an allowance for the zoning administrator to allow them to be 2 feet short. For example.
Yeah, I think the leeway is intentional.
Giving the DRB some flexibility to.
Or the zoning administrator, depending on what the permit is about.
Well, I can look around and see if I can find some parameters from another town that, you know, might help define it without tying anybody's hands too much.
Would that be, I'm just throwing this out, like, when you talk about this, would it be aligned for all parcels? Or would it be aligned based on the current district mapping? And I don't know if I'm saying it properly, but I'm just trying to think of the different areas of the town. And, well, in the village, even though hopefully there is a merger, but in the village sections, could be this, but when you get out into the town sections, it would be this. Is that something that would be defined that way, or would it just be universal across the board? I guess I'm asking Martha.
I guess, well, that's really up to you. It's not currently.
Yeah, right now it's universal
Yeah.
with this language.
It's not yet.
And if we tacked a percentage on, it would change if it was, depending on the district.
And I would also recommend this, it goes subsection 3, landscaping and screening, and then 4, exterior lighting. And then it just, we need another section, so except as prohibited, like, it's like, we just need to number it, because it looks like it falls under exterior lighting right now.
Yeah. I think that's fine. But so, I mean, in essence, since we're talking about setbacks and we're talking about this in a privacy sort of sense, I don't know if this is appropriate time, but I noticed in some things when it's related to parking, and we were discussing parking on 1.5 and this and that other thing, but it also said in a specific area that you're not allowed to park within the setback. And I'm thinking density purposes, especially in the village, how is that even possible? There's so many non-conforming lots with driveways, like, you know, so I don't know if that makes sense to, again, make it district noted, or so, I'm not 100% certain, but you guys understand what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Pleasant Street with the lots, right? The driveways are right next to, 3 feet away from the houses, right?
Is that requirement, though, for all properties, or commercial, or non-residential versus residential?
Well, it was residential.
Okay.
So I'm just bringing that up as another point, because
Yeah.
that was stated in here, and I don't know how that relates to a non-conforming property already.
It's grandfathered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being that if your focus is trying to build density with a 1-unit, 2-unit, or 3-unit, I think that should probably be addressed as well in there, because of density, and it's.
Especially in the village area,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's,
Something that should be-
yeah.
I'm curious if that shows
We
up
have a
on
non-conforming
181.
lots. We have a non-conforming lots section. I don't have it in
Okay.
front of me. I think it's 260
think it
or
was
something.
It was actually.
But it's,
yeah.
it's lots created prior to 1973 or after 1973 as a result of an error by the zoning administrator, or can still be developed so long as they adhere to the setback requirements of that district. So if it doesn't meet like minimum lot size, for example, and it was a lot created prior to our zoning bylaws, you can still develop it. You just can't, you have to stay within the typical dimensional standards.
Yeah, so in where I was reading, it was in 510-1, home occupations, paragraph D, parking shall be provided off-street, parking shall not be allowed in setback areas. And it's related to residential parking.
Matt, what section was that again?
Section
510.1.
510.1, home occupations.
Home occupations. I'm just bringing it up because we were talking about setbacks and we were talking about this, and that's the only reason I was mentioning it.
Wouldn't that be only if you're trying to do a home occupation in those houses?
Yeah.
Versus all residential properties, which I think was your concern.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think all the ones that are there now would be okay, because it's only if you're gonna try to make a home occupation in that situation.
Yeah, I'm just talking about like future building, like, so we have a vacant spot here and it's commercial or residential, but if somebody decided to do mixed use, that's fine. But then what if somebody came in and bought the land and did residential right on Main Street, I know it's a shared driveway, but I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, to meet that parking requirement in town, and you have to adhere to the setbacks and still try and maximize housing, if you were gonna do that's a concern, is
In the village
is
area, yeah.
losing that available real estate for parking to make it, to make it happen, so.
Is for this example, is that intention more for, hey, I'm gonna work as a lawyer out of my house, and now I got all these people parking in the driveway, and that, you're really using it as an office versus residential, and that shifts things.
Yeah, that's how I saw it too, that you're gonna need more parking.
Yeah.
But a true home occupation, you're probably not seeing a ton of visitors.
Yeah, I thought it was addressed.
And we have a definition of home occupation,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
All right, let's,
Sorry.
back to, no, I think this is good conversation. Back to 1 and 2 from the site plan review side of things. Do we want to get a little intel on what other municipalities would do as like a percentage for that setback or things like that? Or do we want to?
I think that's an
Get
appropriate way
I
to
think
go.
that makes sense.
Would you phrase it as, an actual percentage amount, or would you say not to exceed a certain percentage amount?
That's a good point. Let's see what the
Because-
other towns say.
I would
Yeah.
say not to exceed because it,
Then it
maybe the
gives you-
DRB says 10.
Yeah, then it
We
gives
give
you a
them 40.
range without any person reading that, that's considering development too, would also say, okay, now, worst case scenario, this is what we're looking at. And it's not an open book to say, your setback should increase to 100 feet, based on they'll be able to calculate that if they're, on their own accord.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so it was my understanding Martha was gonna try to see what we could,
Yep.
other towns had,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, I think we're ready to continue on to general standards, if that,
Okay.
I don't know if that's where you're at, Martha?
So we're good with the parking change where you're only going to require one space for studios and one bedrooms, correct?
When it's not on town water and sewer?
Right, yep.
Yep.
General standards, what section is that?
Yeah, this one here, the yellow highlight number 2.
Article 5.
So then, okay, performance standards. So in the section that I sent out, I had all these comments. I also sent some notes, which I don't know whether they got distributed or not, with a suggestion for a change to this land use category A. And when I talked to Erin last week, she said, why don't you just go ahead and make whatever changes you think are needed for clarification. And so I did that, but that has not gone out to you. So I just wanted to make sure it was okay. Do you want to see the change as it is to 520.6? That's the where there's a lot that's divided by 2 districts, and then the other 2 sections on performance standards and camping trailers. I can switch to the main document if you want to see those, rather than just all my comments here, which are probably pretty hard to
520.6. Wait, are we talking about 550?
We're talking about 550, yeah.
We're on 5, there was a, I think, little error. I think she's talking to 550. Yeah. It's a lot of sections.
Yeah, well,
Why don't I'll just share the changes that I made on the master document and then see if that makes any more sense. So
I'd like to make a comment if I can. Not sure this is the appropriate time, but when we look at 550.1 and what we were just looking at, there's a discussion of sound. And, you know, I think living here, it's a beautiful place to live with the sounds of nature, water, birds, and things of that nature. Obviously, people need to move on and do things in their world. I have contractors at the table, and I was just wondering if it would be of interest to discuss down the road setting a noise ordinance when you can begin with decibel levels over X amount during the weeks. Just throwing it out there.
doesn't Ludlow have a noise ordinance?
I have never seen one.
Well, this talks about decibels, this section, 550.
I'm just talking times, maybe,
Yeah.
not 6:30 in the morning.
Because I remember when
Yeah.
they were talking about the windmills, they were talking about noise ordinances.
Yeah.
I think the town does, but the village doesn't.
Oh, maybe,
Yeah.
that's it, yeah.
Anyway.
This is
Oh, the village
town.
has a whole noise section. It's just not enforced. Because we just finished that up, the village zoning. But I hear what you're saying, Matt.
I could
the
be
time
wrong. I
of
have never
day-
seen a noise ordinance for the town. I could be 100% wrong.
You wouldn't be in this.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
just saying,
this-
as we
this is-
address it, yeah.
Yeah. This is an ordinance,
We
but
can
this
bring
is
it up
zoning.
at some other point. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, you know, the serenity, we talk about the enjoyment of life, living here, you know.
Yeah.
can somebody start up, a 100 decibel piece of equipment at 6:45 in the morning? Just,
7 o'clock limits.
I'm just making an idea, it doesn't have to be discussed now.
There already is,
Yep,
some of that,
okay.
yeah.
So, just, on that point, I did work with Reading a year or two ago, and they have a chart that is specific as to times of day, rather than just for a certain amount of time during a 24-hour period, which is what you have here. So I'm be happy to share that with you to look at for next time, if you're interested.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to look at.
Yeah,
Yep.
because you have an Airbnb next to you, that's going to be a concern, that's for sure.
Yeah, whatever it might be. It's
Yeah, whatever it
just
might be.
Just a noise nuisance.
Right.
In hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some towns, have, sometimes it gets too restrictive, but I just think being, a resort community out in rural areas of the thing, it's nice to.
Plymouth definitely has it.
Yeah.
Well, then are you gonna enforce it?
Well, that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
buy me a
my
sound
concern.
thing.
Hey,
You can
I'm,
drop all this stuff if all the people
Yeah.
involved, the police and whoever.
yeah.
Well, I know the way
Or not-
Plymouth enforces
no
it
one's
is the
gonna do
neighbors
anything
will call
about
up the person that has the Airbnb and say,
Yeah.
and they kick the people out if they're
I
too
think
noisy.
enforcement is a big point.
I was imagining more like, hey, I'm running my chainsaw, I'm running those kind of, is that what you were talking about?
It could be that
Yeah.
specific situation, absolutely. Somebody's running a chainsaw at 6:15 in the morning,
Yeah.
And in certain parts of, not every parcel in the town is 100 acres, right? So it could be close to another property, and it's, if
Yeah, I
if
think
it's
it would be good to look-
unenforceable, then there's
It would
no
be
point in
good to
doing
look
it.
at those
but,
times of day. I think that's a good thing to add.
If you're interested, I can bring back the ordinance that we have in my town. We're about 35,000 people in a small town, so a lot of very close things, and it is based on time of day, depending on what the use is. And so that way, the contractor can build, but he can't start before 7 o'clock in the morning on the weekdays, and on the weekends, it's a later time. Same thing with leaf blowers and everything else. So
Yeah.
if you're interested, I'll bring it up for you.
I mean, it's always good to look at and, appreciate that. I was just bringing it up just because we were talking about that section, that's all.
This is zoning and that's an ordinance.
Yeah, I feel like this should be more of an ordinance
Okay.
too. I mean, for me to have to enforce sound in addition to everything.
Very good.
It could be an ordinance, but this is zoning.
Yep.
specifically.
Yeah.
But you might use that to also gauge these numbers in here.
Yeah, I use this when I'm writing notices of decision. For instance, we just issued one for a tennis court. So we cited section 550.1 in the notice of decision. But as far as enforcement, again, I think this would be better off as an ordinance, so.
Well, I'll send you what Reading adopted, and you can take a look at that. My main concern, though, was with this section on the different land use categories and how to maybe better clarify land that is characterized by quiet. I pulled out amphitheater because to me that's more like a performance space, so it might actually be noisier than average. As examples, I included memorial gardens and meditation retreats, and so I tried to just simplify and clarify what type of an area you're actually looking at, and then suggest that if the DRB is looking at a conditional use and they find that the adjacent parcel serves an important public purpose and that preserving the serenity and quiet of the adjacent parcel is necessary to maintain the existing use of the parcel, then the DRB can set a decibel level of 60. And in your existing regs, it just says 60, and it didn't have anything about how long a period. So I added that, but, you know, that's something that needs your input, and maybe it needs a time of day, a specific time of day as well. So that was all mainly just to clarify that section. And then the next section, these are breakdowns of land use categories. So for this one, I just thought lumping residences in with commercial lodging facilities and places where the public gathers seemed odd to me. So I took it out, but I'll send you this and you can make comments about whether you think that's okay or not. And then every other land use that's not either these quiet areas or these public gathering and commercial lodging facilities, they just refer back to these general exposure levels here. And I broke that out separately under A, and the land use categories separately under B, because if you refer people back to the general standards and they're all lumped into the same category, then it's kind of just circular and doesn't make sense. So but not looking for you to say this is fine. It's just Aaron thought it would be better for me to go ahead and make changes for you to look at. So these are the changes that I made. I'll send them to you. I'll also send you readings.
Appreciate that, Martha, thank you.
Yeah. And then for the rest of these categories, I did already steal from Reading pretty heavily in revising them. So I had put a whole bunch of comments on the side. I just used those comments to actually go in and revise these sections. So I'll send you those as well, so you can look at them.
I'm glad you added that 550.9, because that was something that our lawyer suggested we add to the village noise section.
The nuisance?
I was actually
Yeah.
suggesting that you pull it out, since it's not really zoning.
I agree. Yeah, because this is enforced by the police and the district court, not me.
Well, Chris Callahan suggested we put it into the village, into our noise section of the village.
Okay.
Is that stating that, hey, you have the right to deal with it, though? Is
Yeah,
that just
it is
kind of
stating-
like saying that?
He said it was important to put that in there, that people have a right.
I mean, it doesn't really have any binding action of just stating that people have the right to do something.
He thought it was
I don't
important.
Really.
He asked us to add it. We hadn't even thought of it.
But it doesn't change the fact that they have the right to do it. They have the right to complain
Right.
no
But
matter what.
He said they needed to,
Yeah.
it needed to be in writing. And
I
they
guess
needed
what
to see it.
I'm getting at is I wonder if it deserves like its own section, or that's just like, at the
Oh, I see what you
heading
mean.
of it, like,
Yeah, no, I see
you
what
have
you
the
mean.
right to do it.
Maybe it should be up in the, first paragraph.
Martha, have you seen like the acknowledgement of that in other towns like that?
Not really. I can see this being, the town creating a nuisance ordinance. And I think that might be a better place for it than zoning, because as Aaron said, she's not going to enforce this.
Yeah.
It's not telling her to enforce it. It's saying they have the right to notify the police.
Which is why it doesn't belong in zoning
Yeah, I
bylaws.
agree with that.
And it belongs in an ordinance.
So we should ask Chris for his reasoning for that, because it was something he insisted we add to the village.
I will follow
I
up
could
with him
see it
tomorrow.
like, I have a noisy neighbor, and I go in here and I see this and I come to you.
Right.
Does it does having that language saying these issues are not you, is that important? Or is that beneficial? But I guess it'd be interesting to see what Chris has to say.
It does belong in the ordinance.
I agree.
Yeah.
I swear there are nuisance ordinances.
We have a lot of ordinances that.
But they were setting some time limits, as in 550.1 for 8 hours for 24 hours, 8 hours for 24 hours. I think what we were maybe thinking of was just actual timeframes, but I don't even, like, so 8 hours per 24 hours, does that mean it's from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m.?
Yeah, it's just probably specify.
You know what I mean?
So we'll get that
Start at
information
2 a.m.,
from,
so as long as you don't exceed it.
That's what I mean, it's like, so should there be?
Fire up that excavator at 2 in the morning, start go to work.
Only during deep snow.
See, that's the other thing,
My
like
kind of
snow
hours.
blowers in the winter. Do we really want to be restricting people from using their snow blowers
You
when they have
can't
to get to
come
work
plow your
at
driveway.
5 or 6
Plow
o'clock?
trucks.
What about
Right?
people?
Normally,
who
in a
need
snowstorm,
work
anything
quarters,
goes.
Exactly.
You know.
It starts,
Yeah.
Snowstorm, anything.
Anything goes,
I
there's no
think-
liability
Is
in
there a
snowstorms.
list of ordinances somewhere?
It's on the
it's on the town
website.
website. All the ordinances are listed there. That's why I was just looking for it.
If you're curious, my town, I just looked it up, on weekdays is 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., and weekends is 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and you're restricted, to a certain lower level. And then even prohibited acts, including, construction activities can't begin before a
Yeah.
certain time frame.
And
So,
I think that addresses ordinances.
yeah,
That's kind of
but that goes to the ordinance aspect of it.
Yeah, so I'm just talking about the noise
Yeah.
section here, the general external exposures, land use
What town
for
is
the
that?
land use categories,
Township,
and
New
it's
Jersey?
just setting,
Because I used to live in Runnymede,
Oh, okay,
way down.
way down.
I
if
guess
somebody wants to build, have a park, it's like, is the park,
Is it a nighttime dirt bike park?
yeah.
That's different. I guess, Aaron, is this used for, hey, I'm gonna come do this project, and I am going to exceed 80 decibels for 5 hours in the day? Okay, you can't do that. But if they go ahead and then are violating it down the road, do you come back at zoning and say, hey, you're allowed to do this for 60 minutes, not 3 hours?
It hasn't come to my desk.
Or does it go into the
so-
ordinance?
I think this is going to apply in a situation where you have a certain business or a certain, maybe it's a manufacturing center, somebody that's going to be
Right.
running operations that's going to exceed that decibel for a certain amount of time. And this gives you a little teeth to say, hey, this is what we need. You need to stay within these parameters from the get-go. This is not something down the line that all of a sudden you're exceeding it and now we don't have anything to go back and cite. So I think that's important to that aspect, but as far as noise complaints and stuff like that, it's got to stick in the ordinances.
Yep.
Yeah, because again, it has helped me when somebody's proposing like tennis courts or sports fields. I just reference this, so if there's a lot of complaints, then I can enforce this, even though I don't think I have a sound measurement tool, but
Your iPhone.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're pretty accurate.
I think it's-
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
They're pretty accurate.
But yes.
There's an app for that?
You
Yeah, they're pretty
you
accurate
set
too.
this- I'm sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
You set the standard so that when somebody wants to come in and develop a piece of property, they know in advance. And one thing that we always throw on is we do mention and put it in the member of the resolution that we adopt, that we notify them of the noise ordinance, so they can't come back down later and say, oh, we didn't know we were going to exceed the values.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we watch very carefully for that, especially operations that could potentially be noisy and next to residential.
100%.
And after thinking about it and the great discussion we just had, we bring up points now, like soccer field at night, right? So I think setting actual timeframes on these is not necessary.
Eric?
Yeah, just one comment on something that might be hard. Martha, could you scroll back up just to the part where it mentioned smells, ash, and smoke, and
550.2.
yeah. So, in my time as the Ludlow health officer, I dealt with calls about objectionable odors. And one of the ones I got often was someone that lives down here and the neighboring property had horses. So I'm not sure how you're going to legislate that, that piece of, that objectionable odors part of it in there, because this, property owner called all the time, about the farm that was next door, and it's in the village, so that might be a tough one to define.
If it's an agricultural use, those are pretty much exempt from most zoning.
And there are no town or village ordinances on noise or nuisances. I looked through all of them.
And one other thing.
But I guess, I'm sorry.
Is if you're, a developer's coming in and there's a horse farm, they have to be made aware, whoever's buying the properties, we've always required in the deed that you're living next to the farm and there's going to be smells. So that prevents the problems down the road that they want to try to shut down the farm that's been there. Whoever was there first, if the farm was there first, they get the rights to stay there. So. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Matthew.
No, I was just addressing what Martha was saying as far as agricultural use, but if it's not agricultural use, to what Eric was saying, how do you guys see that?
Because that's not on a farm. Or what you would
In Vermont,
classically.
sorry.
No, go ahead, Martha.
In Vermont law, it's spelled out, like how many horses you have, and that determines whether you're a farm or not. So if it was one horse, probably wouldn't smell a whole lot, but I mean, I guess it depends on where they store their manure pile. But if it were, I think it's 3 horses, 3 or 4, then you're eligible for the agricultural exemption.
Okay.
This is just a minor point, but under your 550.6, you referenced the BOCA codes. BOCA codes really haven't been used since about 1999. They were superseded by the International Building Code, the International Residential Code. So that might be something that wherever you see BOCA, that it gets upgraded into the IRC or IBC.
Yeah, this was existing language, and, yeah, I didn't want to touch the BOCA code thing, but I can look into that.
I still have a 99 if you need one.
I think I have one.
I go back to 82.
Yeah,
That's about right, 85.
well, I can update that to reference a more recent standard.
Martha, where are we in this process? Are we half done? Are we 3/4 done? What would you estimate us to be at?
So I've gone through most of the regulations once. And I made a list for Aaron, which I can send to all of you, of loose ends. I'd say the biggest loose end is going back to the Article 4 and looking at the districts. Because there were some things that we didn't address in terms of lot sizes and all that relative to, whether there's water and sewer and such. So there's some additional changes that need to be made there.
Okay.
And that was where you all wanted to do like an open house or something and invite people in to come and look at the maps and those district dimensional requirements and uses and everything. So we do have to do some public outreach, and I think that would be the best part for them to look at. I mean, you'll still have public hearings so they can look at everything.
Maybe we can get some lake people here for the Lakes District.
Right. Yeah. So if we do it in the summer, probably get more people to come. So that's the big thing, but I'll send you the list of loose ends. Most of them are minor. There is also the, well, let
do you
me
think we have
scroll
left?
down.
I'm sorry, Terry, but I can't.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah. If you want to estimate how many months we have to go, what would you say?
Well, technically, we can have another 11 months, I believe, before the grant runs out. You know, the time period for the grant is through April 30th, I think.
Okay.
Not that we have to use that all, but we do have to tie up the loose ends, have some public outreach, try to think about what's going to make sense in terms of future land use. I mean, Aaron's correct. Usually you change your town plan first and then you change your zoning regs to match those. But you can anticipate, because of Act 181 in the Home Act, you can anticipate some of those changes in advance. So the other section I look at, I made minor changes to this just for clarification, primarily, the campgrounds. I thought adding campgrounds to the heading made sense because it does discuss campgrounds, and you might not expect to see that if it just has a heading of camping trailers. So these are all pretty much just clarifications, minor clarifications. Oh, and there's some sections like here where it says having a gravel pad at least 20 feet in width, but it doesn't include a length, so probably you want to include a length.
Let's do that right now. Does anybody have an estimate on what that would look like?
Where do you see that? If you can print that out.
560.3, number 3, on page 67.
Okay.
Camper trailer length of the pad.
What?
Our storage guy here. You got it?
It depends on how big the camper is.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of size
Yeah.
differences. I don't know how you do that.
I think the length, I mean, if it's just tents, or if you have a pop-up and you get into the big campers, I mean, you could be 50 feet long, and that's adequate for some and way overkill for others.
Maybe we should just say a gravel pit that matches your size of your trailer?
Most of the time, like at campgrounds, they have, this site is for up to 40 feet. This is up to 30 feet. This is 35. And that's what you typically see, like when you're going camping, and there's certain things that fit and others that don't.
I think individual trailer width, I think the standard trailer width is what, 14 and a half feet per trailer width. So we're allocating 20 feet in width. You know, trailers can get us up to, I think, 42-foot trailer is probably the longest you can get. So if you're given a little on each end, I'd say, 50 is probably going to be your max that you're going to want for gravel in length, if they're doing 20 wide.
So you don't want to say at least 20 feet in width and a maximum of 50?
I don't think you need to really specify if you want to go with a bigger pad, but I don't know if we're trying to we're just trying to regulate a proper base for this trailer.
Yeah.
Right, so I think you'd have to specify by a certain amount of feet greater than the length of the trailer being placed. So if you want to say, the trailer pad plus 6 feet, whatever the length of the trailer is plus 6, that would make it an adequate pad for the trailer. It's hard to, because like I said, the trailers are all different lengths. It's hard to specify.
Okay, so we could say length of trailer plus 6 feet, the way they did with the width?
Yeah.
That makes
do
sense.
That way they have a little bit of option with the size of the trailer they're putting.
Aaron, have you ever seen a campground permit? Because I wonder, like, do you say, hey, I'm going to have 20 sites? Or do you say, hey, I'm going to have 10 sites that fit a trailer up to this, 5 sites that fit it up to this? I don't even know how you would like, because the number of people you can sleep in that camper can vary. How does that work for your septic requirements and?
That's good questions.
Well, I think the septic requirements is if the camper is self-contained or if it's tied into a waste system, right? So then that waste system would be part of the development of that property and zoning,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, if it's not tied into public sewer, and they're gonna have just a wastewater system on the parcel, I think that would need to be determined by the capacity of the parcel and what could be allowed by the state.
mm-hmm,
But some of them are self-contained.
yeah,
I would also change the language a little bit, instead of saying, and have a compacted gravel pad, I would say, and have at least a compacted gravel pad, because you could put concrete down, you could do, different types,
Yeah.
it seems, that would suffice versus just compacted, so at least have a compacted gravel pad.
At least.
So, I agree. I think at least 20 feet in width is pretty large for a camper, right? They're driving down the roads. I liked your idea of,
well, you
plus
got
or
your
minus
slides.
6. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the expanded things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
coming.
plus
I was thinking that the pad is just for support, but that's a good point, Noah.
And some of them will have jacks underneath that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Good thing we have so many campers. You guys know everything about it. I prefer hotels myself, but.
Is there any, would we get ourselves in trouble if we said 20 feet in width and a length that accommodates the trailer size? Or is there a way you can word it to give flexibility to that in the length?
Well,
Maybe
I like
giving
what
it-
Ed's idea, length of trailer plus 6 feet.
Yeah.
Because he said the average width, well, the maximum width is 14 feet.
I would assume a campground would, like you said, would have certain size plots for certain size trailers. So if you're
Yeah.
booking a spot and your trailer's 18 feet, you're gonna be parking in a path that has a 20-foot path or something for your
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
Because it kinda has to be, depending on the terrain and how they set up these camp spots, it's gonna be, some are more wooded, some are secluded, some are open, they're gonna fit different trailers in different spots. We don't wanna make make them overdevelop a campsite just because we're
Mhm.
saying you gotta maximize this gravel path at 40 feet. And they wanna put a small trailer in, so they don't wanna disturb that much of the site.
And it also gives the DRB to waive any
Little wig-
requirement in that subsection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But I think at least laying out,
Give it some flexibility without
yeah.
standardizing it.
What do you think, Aaron? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
How about Martha's question, could you have a tents-only campground?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So, and the way I read that is each trailer site. If I'm a tent site, I don't need a gravel pad.
Of course not, yeah.
So it's just the,
Trailers.
yeah.
I think I asked that because it says campgrounds shall provide for individual trailers. If it was a tents-only campground, then you wouldn't need to provide for trailers.
Maybe it says individual trailers, access to driveway, or provide for individual trailers or tents.
I wish our resident, future, former forest ranger was here to
Is-
help with this.
Is that language to basically make it so somebody who opens up a campground, all of a sudden, now they're bringing trailers in, and they're bringing, sometimes it's all tents only, sometimes they're making accommodations for trailers, is that what that's, trying to either
Yeah.
prohibit or promote, depending on how you
And
interpret
that's, yeah, I feel like, yeah, so a campground is a conditional use anyways. I feel like this should almost just be a PUD, because then that requires any campground to show where the amenities are, where the pads are. We can then put conditions like how long are people going to be like short term? Is it going to be no more than I don't know what the standards are. I'm not a camper, 6 months or something. I don't know. Just to make sure it doesn't turn into permanent
dwellings.
dwellings.
A lot of times, like the one in Cavendish,
Yes, the only one I'm
that's
familiar
with.
open
Okay.
seasonally.
Okay.
And people can keep their campers there all like at a seasonal site, so they're
Mhm.
there for the whole season. They can keep it there on the off season.
Mhm.
Because
Well, there's
right
a-
now it just says you need a conditional use permit.
Should
I
be a
don't know much
PUD.
about it, but there's a campground on Weston Andover Road.
Yeah, that floods.
And it seems like
Mm.
that is permanent housing.
It can be.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times in our area, they close down for the winter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, down south, yeah, it can turn into that.
So
Um,
we could just add your campground shall provide for individual trailers or tents and solve that problem.
Yeah.
And number 2.
Yep. I think if you get into the PUD thing, a lot of, you may not have certain amenities, hey, you're gonna do dry camping, and that is what it is, or, yeah. I think same with the mobile home, if you're renting the space, is that a PUD, it's one owner, and you have all these sites,
So we're moving on to
is
mobile
that a
homes?
PUD?
That's our next
I
section.
guess, yeah, it does get a little.
And that does
Yes.
require a PUD, the mobile homes.
Yeah, let me switch. I couldn't tell so I sent along a mobile home section from East Montpelier. Let me grab that. I can find it. Hold on a sec. There it is. Let's share. Oops. That doesn't look like the right one. Oh, yes, it is. Okay. So did you all see this in advance?
No.
Yeah, this comment about,
No. Well, first of all, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep. First.
Yep.
Okay. And then have you had a chance to look at this prior to the meeting?
I believe so.
Not what you're presenting.
Okay. So basically, if you could just look at these maybe before the next meeting and make some notes on what sounds good, what doesn't sound good. The ones you have are very vague, and I was confused about, it says, I don't want to try to switch back and forth because it's going to take a while, but these are very clear as to what process is used and very specific about lot size, percentage of open space, percentage of recreational area, size of the buffer. It's just very clear and specific, which I liked. So if you all could just look through it and see what you like or don't like about it, and then I could create something for you based on your feedback.
If we did something like East Montpelier, would we take it out of the planned unit development piece and it would kind of be a standalone?
Yeah, so it's not clear in your existing regulations, it's kind of implied that it's a PUD, which seems like overkill. In East Montpelier, it's either a permitted use or a conditional use, depending on where it is in the town. Permitted maybe, I mean, conditional seems like the most appropriate way to go, but, and you do, I believe, have it listed in one of your districts as a conditional use. So that was also confusing, that it kind of sounded like it had to go through the PUD process, but it was listed as a conditional use. So just, it needs a whole lot of clarification.
Okay, we'll take a look at that.
So
Yeah. I don't, can you send it to us again? Because it's not in this
Yeah.
packet.
Yeah, I think she
Yeah.
just referenced it in the comments.
I'll send that, we can talk about it next time.
No, she wants to replace all of this with East Montpelier one, but we haven't seen it.
And not exactly in Montpelier's, you know, not their exact language. I mean, they have a minimum site or plot for lots of 10,000 square feet, which I think might be problematic now because of the new density requirements. So I think yours is fine at 8,000 square feet. You just don't have a whole lot of specifics beyond that, and it might be nice to clarify the procedure, clarify where they're allowed, and just as much detail as you can so it's very clear for someone, you know, what kind of setbacks and all that they need.
Okay. So that's it, right, Martha?
Well, there was one other thing that got kicked down the road several times, and that was hotels. Do you want to allow hotels in, do you want to allow hotels, and if so, in which districts?
Perhaps that's something we can look at when we start looking at Article 4 again. Because then when we have Article 4 pulled up, we can determine which districts it may be most appropriate for a hotel use.
Sure, yep, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think having that list of loose ends would be good for us to kind of take a look at and can make sure we're not forgetting about things as we keep moving through things.
Okay.
Thanks, Martha.
If we get,
Very welcome.
speaking to the loose ends, if we get that list of loose ends, could we make that a specific item on the agenda just to go through those loose ends?
Yeah,
at
that
the
would
next
be-
meeting, so we can just knock them out?
Yeah.
Kind of go through.
Yeah.
I think
let's
that's a
do
good
that.
idea. Okay, does that cover?
Pretty big, so that one you probably wouldn't be able to knock
Knock
out.
out.
That's the one about, you know,
Wishful thinking?
lot size. Yeah. Most of them you can probably knock out.
Okay, well, at least we can.
And having that
time to
list
at the next meeting just to go through it all.
I think
will help our newer board members kind of get some footing on where we've been.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can also decide on the East Montpelier, switching that over or not to our mobile home section, mobile park section.
Yeah, I can add to the list after this meeting. I have some more things to add.
And does that kind of cover everything for you, Martha?
Yep,
Okay. Well, thank you again.
yep, thank you.
Thank you, Martha.
Martha.
Thank you.
Thanks, Martha.
Okay.
On to municipal plan updates. Aaron, you wanna?
So June 15th, Noah and I will work together on putting together a type of charrette package. I've come up with the general template outline, but I'll bring, I'll add that to next week's agenda, hopefully, and we can take a look at the outline for getting all the boards together and reviewing the municipal plan to start working together. I do have a proposal from Mount Scottney Regional Commission to do the town plan updates for us, but Penny and I and the select board all agree that it's very important to get public input before we start making any edits to our town plan. So June 15th, Planning Commission, DRB, Select Board, and I believe the water commissioners and the electric light department will also come to that. So more to come, and we'll review that more next week.
And what time is that?
June 15th, I believe we said
5 o'clock, I think.
5 o'clock, 5 to 7.
Okay, can I bring up something about the municipal plan? All right, I met with Noah, and I know he's changed his mind about this, but I did work on some of this, and we could get some things done today. Obviously, we have to discuss it as a group. I've just found stuff online to answer some of these questions, including not doing the statement of objectives because we're waiting for that meeting on the 15th, but we could look at policies and programs because they've changed over the last 7 years, and that's what I've done some work on. And I'd like to be able to at least start that part since we've done absolutely nothing so far. And the grant money isn't even available till September, I believe, for the regional to chime in. So with the board's approval, I'd like to just take a look at the introduction and just the relationship with neighboring towns. That kind of stuff has changed in the last 7 years. It's just information. It's not getting into goals or anything else. What do you think? Can we do that? Can I share my screen, and can we do some of that tonight? In the interest of getting something done on it, I'm extremely anxious about it. That has been put off since January. It's been on the agenda since January, and we have yet to write one piece of zoning for it. I know Penny's idea was to take all the sections and give them to different board members to work on, but this is just the information stuff that I've updated. So would the board be willing to let us look at some of that information right now? What say you all?
I'm here and available.
What?
I'm here and available.
You're here and available. I appreciate that.
I think it'd be good to look at the town plan as a whole, understand what is this document in its current phase, what is, why do we need it?
Right.
First of all, and those kind of things, as we start this process, it really ties in closely with a lot of what's going on, the Better Connections grant, our zoning, our town and village merger. So it's really gonna take a lot of that stuff together. I've been really looking at this quite a bit, and as our faithful servant Eric Alden has been saying, our goals and objectives have been the same for years. Nothing's really changed. And with that, I kind of thinking more of, we're not necessarily coming up with new goals and objectives, but we need to figure out some direction there. And I think with our public outreach, with our discussions, it's more going in choosing and going in a direction and following that more than, hey, what should the town do? We have a pretty good handle on what that is. I think looking at our different sections here, flood resilience change from our 23 flood, have some impacts there. Economic development, housing, big one, and then obviously implementation.
Right, and those are all goals, but I'm just talking about the general information that we need to include every time, the changes that were made over the last 7 years, where we are now. That's the only stuff that I've taken a look and done some updates on.
Mhm.
And that's what I just like to jump into that tonight. So I just feel like if we get just a little bit of zoning written, I just will feel so much better that we've made a start on it and we haven't just. I'm talking about the municipal plan, yeah, but the language is the same, basically, the zoning language, using shalls and, you know, making it have some meat. So I got Matt saying yay. Ted, would you be willing to look at parts I've updated already? And I haven't updated them, they're just proposals, things that have changed in the last 7 years, just general facts. So we can get something done tonight? What do you think, Ed?
As far as information and facts, what are we referring to on that?
Well, just like the introduction, like for example, it says a municipal manager administers the affairs for the town and village of Ludlow. I just deleted "and village," because hopefully our merger will go through. At the annual town meeting, members are elected to serve staggered terms on the 5-member select board instead of board of selectmen. I've just made changes like that, things that we've changed the verbiage in the last 7 years. So in the introduction, that's just basically it. Also, I think we could decide if we're going to keep it in the order that it's in the index that we have used for years and years, or if we're going to put it into the order of what's required by the state, which is included in your packet, and put it into those sections instead, so it'd be easier to obviously get it approved and everything, and to make sure we're on target with the different sections that we need. Also,
Erin?
that's one thing we could do.
I would like, again, I said this at the last meeting that we had, Mount Scottney Regional Commission would like to be involved from the very beginning. We would like to onboard them in July, the new fiscal year. I will have money in the budget to onboard Mount Scottney Regional Commission to professionally lead us through this from start to finish. Okay? So that's the suggestion I, as the ZA, am making. It's up to the board what you want to do from there.
Terry, what if you kind of led us through the current town plan and like outline, hey, these are areas where I think this needs updating, this is a quick data check, this is that, and kind of give everyone a good sense of what's in here, how does this work, and just kind of outline, hey, these are areas where big picture, a lot of people, a lot of input, and then, hey, this is just pulling current census data.
Yeah, so the current census data that I've just pulled is the 3.2 section, if you want to turn to that, relationship to plans in adjacent towns and region. So a change that I made there is that Ludlow is now served by V-Trans District 3, Rutland Maintenance District. The town is strategically positioned near the boundaries of District 2, Rattleboro to the southeast, and District 4, White River Junction to the northeast. These districts are responsible for maintaining the state highways and providing technical assistance. That's something different from 7 years ago. And Ludlow is within the Vermont State Police Westminster Barracks Troop B1. Ludlow is within the Mount Scottney Regional Planning Commission. It used to be called the Southern Windsor County Regional Planning. Those are the kind of updates I've done, just the facts that I think that we could maybe, can we agree on that language, that needs to change? Because I'm the clerk, so I could keep the records for us.
Yeah, I think we know that's going to make a change. I think I'd like to definitely follow the lead of regional planning and tackle it that way.
Well, and I really think regional planning, we're definitely going to need them. We're going to need them for the goal setting, the implementation process. We're going to need them for, what else was I thinking? Oh, the maps, for sure. We're going to need them for that. But just this meeting and the meeting next week, we could just get these parts done, the relationship to neighboring towns, our policies, and that kind of stuff could get done. Also, I put in here the Andover Town Plan. The town designates future land categories. It used to be of conservation of rural residency, and now it's of residential rural R1. So if I could send it to you guys, and we could just plug away at this meeting and next week's meeting, we could get these sections that are just information done and ready to go. And they have to be included because they're part of our policies and programs. Sections of what is required from the state.
So you're just talking about making informational changes in this section?
And what has changed in the last 7 years.
My-
So, go ahead, Ed.
Sorry, my question would be, is Merck going to take a look at this and reformat this whole thing from start to finish? Is the sections gonna change? Is how the sections relate to each other gonna change? Like what is when they get involved, how much of this are they touching? And how different is it gonna look in the format and the information that we're putting in now?
Well, it's just
Does that
information
change?
that I got from state websites, and some of the stuff, like when you talk about the tree warden, that came from select board meetings, where the tree warden and the tree commission reported on things. Things that are not going to change. Population trends are not going to change. That is just the kind of informational stuff that we need to update anyway, that we could get working on. And this weekend, next week.
Yeah, I think very quickly we make these little tweaks and it gets lost. Having
It's not going to get lost on the clerk.
having a clear plan from regional planning after we are able to sit down with all of the boards and get that solid direction. I think we can agree, hey, those changes are going to be made. If we make other changes, this is minutia.
I'm going to send it to
stuff.
Martha and see what she thinks, because this is just facts. All I've done is update some facts. That's
Mhm.
it. They're going to have to do that, and we'll have less time to work with them on the other things that we need, because these are just things that change every time that we need to update.
I'm just trying to understand what's going on
Yeah,
and where is the best path forward.
right.
That's what I'm just trying to understand. And I agree with Ed and what Ed was saying, like, is this gonna be a major part of Mark changing it again? I don't know.
Why would they change it
So
again?
I-
It's just
so
the
if somebody
facts. It's the
had-
facts of what's happening right now. Maybe they'll reword it, which is fine, but at least we'll have got into it. And plus, our board decides on how to move forward. Our board decides on what the language looks like too, which is why I want to put it before you guys.
Yeah,
so
no,
we
I'm
can
just getting
decide
the
together.
consensus that nobody wants to waste the time in doing something.
Right, I don't want them to waste their time
Yeah.
doing stuff I've already done.
Yeah.
That's my
Erin, how
point.
does the work with regional planning go for this?
They will make the
Project.
updates to adhere to state statute and present it to us, similar to what Martha's been doing. So it's
Mhm.
coming directly from them. They're involved with the legislature, and they're fully aware of everything that needs to be done.
And
when
I
were
got
you
everything from
thinking of-
state stature as well.
What are we thinking of starting that
Pardon?
process with? When do you think we'll start that process with
Hopefully
those
July
guys?
1st, as soon as the fiscal year starts.
Okay. So we can come out of that June meeting
Mhm.
and have some good direction.
Do we have an idea of who would be running point on that? Over there would be Martha?
Martha or Jason.
Or Jason?
Yep, I can talk to them just to understand who would be the direct person. I've been talking to Jason about it.
What's a typical turnaround on that, on something like these changes?
It has to be adopted by September 2027, so they will be able to adhere to that. I'd say about 7-8 months.
Yeah, but before that, we have
No,
to have
what-
a bunch of public hearings. Depending on our population, we may have to have 2.
No, I'm just talking about the word changing that you're talking about.
Right.
Like, so would they just do that? Or that just
Yes.
is part of the whole package?
Yes, and just my concern is that we had an individual planning commission member make a bunch of edits without getting a vote from the board to go ahead and do that. And it was significant edits. It was about 40 so pages, so.
But it's just updating information. That's all it was.
And so Matthew, they'll
I'm gonna send it
present
to
it like
Martha.
they did with, hey, here's the red line version, here's the stuff. Hey,
Mhm.
we changed this word, hey, we updated this number, hey, there's state statute that's changed, how do you guys want to proceed? And then, for certain things, we'll get more into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to send it to Jason and Martha, and you can get their opinion about it.
Okay.
Can you please copy all of us on that, Terry, so we can
I've
all
already
see?
sent it to everybody except Matt.
Okay, but we would like to see the
Yeah, I mean,
correspondence, so
I
thank
would
you.
like to look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't sent it to you, Matt. I will.
and copy me, because that was a requirement of one of your letters.
Anything else on the municipal plan?
I wish there was.
Public outreach ideas for both the town bylaws and the municipal plan.
What has been presented in the past?
For public outreach?
Yeah.
So I believe this is looking at, are we looking at the combination of like the public forum and actually like get engagement from people and?
That'd be great. I foresee like a charrette of sorts, so where we can open it up for everybody to come and provide feedback on poster boards up in the selectmen hearing room.
And that's gonna be pre the start of the town plan, we're gonna have an open forum.
So we'll do
forum
the-
discussion.
yeah, we'll do that in
during the
June.
process, and
Yeah.
We'll present them
Mhm.
the progress, and they'll take a look at it. I know with Cavendish, which I think we've gotten a lot of great feedback, is putting out a general survey
Yeah.
with a questionnaire to all the residents and of some of the main key issues,
Mhm.
and giving them set choices as far as multiple choice, criteria on where they rate certain issues of importance. And if it's extremely important, somewhat important, then we kind of gauge this changing demographic we have in town.
Mhm.
Because we have everybody from, out-of-state full-time residents, we have families, we have work. So to get a kind of consensus of where everybody stands in the community, for a town plan that could be another 20 years.
Right.
It's kind of nice to get that feedback of where the overall feel of the community is. Are we community-based? Are we, vacation town? Are we, where is the perception of the overall community in town is? And I think that a survey really does help, and, to all the property owners, they all get a chance to respond on a survey, whether it's you do a QR code to an online survey, or you do a paper survey. You have paper surveys here people can take and read, but I think that gets us a lot of good feedback on how to mold this kind of town plan too.
Awesome, yep.
So Ed, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What was your percentage response on that?
So we're just finalized it this last meeting last week, and we're gonna send it out with we had a fairly good response for the previous one, which was for subdivisions. But the hardest part is finding what medium works best for
Yeah.
our population. The Cavendish is a very older population, and typically they like to come to the town office and pick up a hard copy, fill it out right there and give it in. QR code, more and more people are getting more technically savvy, so give them the option of posting on the website, sending out a QR code, maybe a postcard in the mail, maybe not the actual paper survey, but a postcard with a QR saying, hey, go to the, sign this in, just making sure that they're aware of it and they can do it. And you'll get a lot of people that are interested in it. Maybe put it in the journal and say, hey, please fill out your, send it out in the paper or the publication saying, fill out your survey and get your voice heard, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we have done surveys in the past. We sent postcards to everybody in the village. Pretty hard to do that to everybody in the town, but with the QR code on it.
The Facebook, you can put the QR in the Facebook post for the town of Ludlow, and that will get that's what Cavendish got a lot of reaction out of that one. And especially when the QR code did work, they heard a lot of issues. We're trying to do the survey, we can't gain access to it, so.
Got the
it's just,
bugs out.
The town forums are great, but get 50 people showing up,
Mhm.
or 100 people, is that an accurate representation of the people here?
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe you gotta have a couple different outreaches.
So I believe communication is the key to success in everything that everybody does in their life, whether it's business or personal. So getting information from, owners in the town is crucial. Now, my only question is, I don't know if this has been done before in the town for other topics. I don't know if you have any insight on that, Noah, as a selectman on, I think it's great, Facebook, QR code, things like that. Who manages this whole system?
We have a town Facebook now.
You do now?
We
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So our clerk, I think in Cavendish, does there's a couple people that have the access to the Facebook to do the management and posting of it. I don't, but some of them do, and they regularly, once we, vote on it as a board, and we say this is what we want to do, we'll just put it with the town, and the town will post it, and then,
I think we need to get as
Mark
much
was-
feedback as possible.
totally.
Yeah, and our meeting in June
especially
is with
something
the
this-
boards, but we have to ask the
especially
public,
something like this,
too.
have some public feedback is good.
Have you had any experience with that as a selectman, Noah?
Well, we got a lot of engagement when we put that trailer at the fire station.
That I noticed.
Scott got 50 phone calls.
Pick up your phone there.
Put the QR code on the trailer.
Yeah. As Terry
Get it
mentioned,
at school.
That could be the billboard at CM's now, right? QR code right at Sam's, is that one of the proposals?
I like those signs.
They did the survey in the past, postcards, it was on the website,
Pizza
things like
parties.
that. I think, in some of my brainstorming, it was like having a survey, with the ability to, you know, hey, what are the core things? I liked the idea of forcing the, you know, you have to make a decision on where you land on these things to kind of guide it a little bit. The other thing that I don't know if it's been done in the past, but really getting into some of our stakeholders specifically. You know, talking to the elementary school, Chamber of Commerce, like Terry mentioned, the Lake Rescue Association. I think what I am very curious about is the folks that are not residents, that have moved, you know, have a piece of property here, have, you know, and maybe even the ones that have decided to move here. What is the view from the non-voting public of Ludlow? I think that's an
That was
interesting.
something we hit hard on in Cavendish because we have a lot now out of state, and they're becoming full-time, but they're from the out of state full-time residents or just property holders from out of state, and it's much more so than 20 years ago. So that's some of the questions we
your places are more
specifically addressed. We had a whole
affordable, too.
section on our survey that you know, that is directed directly at that population to see
Yeah.
what their input is. I mean, you know, you don't want to, you want to take the whole population in effect, not just the year-round local, you know, family-oriented, but the other people that are, you know, putting money in the economy here. You got to get their input as well, so.
And not that they drive the decision, but having that, oh, hey, they view Ludlow in a very different way than we realized.
Sure.
And so I think that's one area that would be interesting to capture. Yeah.
Another thing we've done here before is that, you know, we'll have food for people at our planning commission meeting and ask them to come. And usually you have people out the doorway if you give them some food, some pizza
Yeah.
and stuff.
The Green Mountain school budget vote was today, and they got a barbecue grill outside. And they're grilling, just trying to get people to come in and vote.
Good.
Get a burger, come in and vote, get a burger and a hot dog, and go back.
It wasn't when I went.
It wasn't open up yet. They got the big grill out now. So, yeah, food is a big incentive, so you
Yeah,
can definitely do
definitely.
that, just to get some,
They
and
probably poisoned it.
maybe just have one day come into town hall and fill out a survey, and, you know, hype it up on Facebook and do one day where you try and drive people in to do something.
Only if we get a wacky inflatable man on the
Maybe
corner.
that,
yeah.
yeah. Put it around
So
town hall.
you say that, and I was just thinking, like, and I don't know how to do it because I'm no marketing expert, but
We
You have a-
own that park.
I was gonna say, you have a park right here.
Big old boy up in there.
Yeah, there's a park right here, and what, you know, not only doing what Ed is suggesting, which I think is fantastic,
Mhm.
is having maybe some sort of big notice right in the park, right on the corner of Main
Well-
Street.
Print up a banner. and put
Also,
it there.
I talked to the people at the farmer's market, and they said they would give
Yeah.
us 2 weeks and to put up a booth if we wanted to ask people, you know, what are
I
their
think
goals for
that's
the
a great
town.
idea. I
She-
deal with a
she
lot of
said-
non-residents.
She said to
and-
pick my weekends, and she
And
would
that's
leave 2
even-
open for us.
You get a sandwich board, and that's out front of every farmer's market.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know, I think having making it, because I know when you guys did the survey before, you ended up getting a lot of non-residents, even though it was geared specifically towards the residents.
And we sent every resident a postcard.
Yeah, so getting it in a way, hey, we can really get nitty-gritty of, hey, I moved here, there's definitely people here who spend 6 months out of the year, but they're not resident.
I
Over that.
I could share our survey that we're finalizing now. We're getting last changes being made. I'll forward that to you guys so you can see the different sections, just as an idea of the
Yeah,
questions we're
we'd like
asking.
to-
But we're
like to see
trying
that.
to, without getting direct information, names and all that, we're trying to understand, are you a resident, non-resident? Are you a non-resident property owner or you're a non-resident homeowner? You know, there's a difference. A lot of people have, Cavendish own a lot of property out of state, and they're property owners, there's no structures, there's no, so that's a big part of Cavendish, the town of Cavendish. There's a lot of land out there that's just owned by other people. But we do want to understand what their input is too. So there's a lot of sections that are broken down just to try and get the information of you know, what is the consensus, what is the demographics here, and where do they stand on all these things? The school is a big issue. You know, elementary school, is that going to continue on the way it is? Do we view the community the same way now as we did 20 years ago, based on the change in population and the demographics in town? So we're just trying to, you know, when you do this, something like this, you've got to, how are we growing? How are we meeting everybody's needs in town?
And it's good to have a select board on our board, because we've made the mistake in the past of sending out a survey we haven't okayed with the select board to the public. We always need to okay it with them, you know, before we send it out.
Yeah,
It would be great if we had something in time for the tax bills when they go out.
It's good to specify the property type too, whether you're an Airbnb owner, whether you're a seasonal renter, you know, and we have a section there for renters, that people that own property, but we want to get their information too. Are they just a renter? Is housing affordable for year-round people? Like, there's a whole bunch of sections just trying to understand, you know, the trials, tribulations of the individual that lives in Cavendish for us. You know, what
I
are they
think
struggling with?
this survey you could use it again, and I think you are 100% right. And like, if this goes out in the tax bill, that would be awesome.
That's
It's probably not gonna work now,
Martha
but,
funded that survey.
Having it, you know, ready where, hey, we're gonna send this out every year, and now next town plan comes along, we got 5 years, we can see, this has shifted, or this has stayed the same.
Yeah.
To be able to kind of get that sentiment.
We'll have to ask Martha about that survey, how she,
Property taxes was a section on the survey too that went out too. So we're trying to, you know, you put the resources in doing a survey, and the time, you want to make sure you try and encompass a lot, so.
So I think you guys have all great ideas. How is this managed? Who does this?
well, Martha managed it for us, because she used an app, and Regional paid for the whole thing, and then she just gave us all the data when it was done.
The QR
Because I think
code is-
sending out in the bills, QR codes, I think as much public notice as you could possibly supply is going to give you the biggest percentage of return, right? So I was wondering how all this is
In
managed.
teaching, we used free surveys. I forget, it's Survey Monkey, I think it's called.
That's what, the town uses one of those, I can't remember what it is, but the
And they were
QR code
free.
links to that survey, and then all the questions and the answers will be spit out in a report. So you'll be able to, it's very easy, once the surveys, as it's being used, it gives you the report.
So you use Survey Monkey?
I don't know what, if it's
Because
Survey Monkey.
it's free. I
It
think
might
if
be
you,
Survey
if
Monkey.
you stay within 10 questions, I think it's free.
Yeah,
So
ours
I
is more than
would
that.
say,
Ours
this is probably something we come up with the questions, we give it to Aaron, or we give it to Diane, they put it in the software, and we say, hey, we want to send it out to these
Really?
things.
They can do that? That's cool.
Make a survey?
Yeah, they can do that, electronically make a survey?
Yeah.
Okay. So bring your
So,
questions, and then we'll look at
I
ours
think-
from last time.
Based on a comment, tax bills, I think the goal would be try to get this done before they go out.
When did they go out?
June 1st or by June 1st.
Yeah, so,
Oh, yeah, it's fast.
Let's get it done next week.
Late July, aren't they? Isn't your taxes August 1st in this town?
Taxes,
But the bills, the new bills go out in June.
June.
but has the state set a tax rate yet?
No.
So they
No.
can't send out a
Mm-mm.
tax bill?
Yeah,
Okay.
They're
that's
close,
why-
though, the state's closed.
So I would
So
say,
we
I,
won't- our next meeting to finalize our survey won't be till June 1st.
No, our next meeting is next
No,
week.
no, mine-
Oh,
so we
yours.
won't- I won't have the final version of ours until then.
Oh,
unless-
yeah, but you
unless
can
we get it back
you can just
before.
give us the questions you have so far, and we'll look at
Yeah.
our questions we asked before.
I think we would want to, that June meeting of like, I see that as some of the bigger picture things that we're looking to get some input on.
Yeah.
So, but I think we could definitely start that process and get some questions, and then make sure we review that after that meeting.
Yeah, and you'd have to get to the select board and get it okay, too.
Well, I know a guy.
We all know a guy.
Ed, would you be able to share the questions that you use go out, so that it's
Yeah.
great for everybody to see what Cavendish did?
Yeah, absolutely.
And just add or amend what the town would want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most of them could kind of be generalized between the two towns, but there'll be some specific ones for Cavendish that, you know, you guys will obviously change for Ludlow, but I think to me, it kind of hits a lot of different points for the town, and you know, it's easy for us to sit here and make decisions, but it's nice to get that input, and if people are concerned about their voice getting heard in this town plan, we should hear them and try and steer the ship.
And I think, you know, bring it up at a select board meeting, but I think they can use it as their advantage and start driving a communication system for the town of Ludlow, right? Hey, all these questions, but you want to be contacted, give us all your information, and we'll constantly contact you, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're building this database of everybody and getting hopefully some more input on a lot of different things, whether it's, you know, planning commission or.
That's something I wish the on-solve emergency alert
Yeah.
system had, I want general alerts. Here's the week, this is the town meetings this week. Here's
Yeah.
this, and having that
Yeah.
ability, because it's tough, and it's the way we post things is somewhat, or warn things is somewhat antiquated
Yeah.
these
Somewhat.
days. Okay.
So we're bringing this up in June. Is that what we?
So I think for next
decided?
meeting, we can,
Or start develop
it'd be
questions?
great to look at
Yeah.
Ed's stuff. Terry could bring the past questions that they did on that.
Yeah,
on that
I have them
survey,
right here anytime we want them.
And at least start to get a sense of that.
That's next week's meeting, correct?
Yeah.
The 19th. Do we have a quorum? Can people come? The 19th?
I can attend remotely via Zoom.
Okay. I can attend.
Yep.
I've got my kids' concert,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
so I won't.
Can't miss that.
Can't miss their concert,
When is your next meeting?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yeah. Same time.
If you
Well,
don't mind me
it's-
attending.
No? You-
I really appreciate.
Thank you for your
letting me
information.
participate. Thank you very much. I'll come around and introduce myself individually when we're done, if you don't mind.
Rules of procedure, question and answer.
Yeah, I did contact the League of Cities and Towns, Eric, over your concerns and Judy's concerns. She's the the lawyer that answered my question said you can have it in your rules of procedure for your planning commission meetings that attendees must identify themselves, and you can explain to attendees out loud at the start of your meeting, but in the end, we aren't sure you can actually enforce it. Because we had somebody Zoom in we didn't have somebody Zoom in, the DRB did, that was quite obscene.
I saw that.
Okay. Of course, you can immediately restrict attendees from the ability to screen share and stop their camera if inappropriate content is displayed. I think Rebecca can do that. We can't do that. I recommend that the individuals in your town that run and set up the Zoom meetings review their technical guidance and many options to stop inappropriate Zoom bombing before it has a chance at Zoom meeting security guide. Yes, you can have an approximate start time and ending time in the agendas for your meetings. And yes, you can have a general rule that limits individual comments. Please have your planning commission review our model rules of procedure for boards. You can review it as a PC, and after modifying to fit your PC needs, you can adopt it, which we already did.
Can I make a motion that those notes are submitted to the meeting minutes?
Sure. I'll send them to Leisha.
Yeah.
You want them?
Yeah, I can scan it.
Eric?
Can I just add a little context, because this was really all about my comments. I just want to make it clear that I wasn't saying there couldn't be some rules that could be stated. The incident that happened was someone didn't identify themselves and they were removed. Per state statute, you do not have to identify yourself to be in a public meeting. So that was just my concern, that they were immediately removed. You can certainly ask them to announce themselves, name and address, it's pretty common, but it's not a requirement for folks to do that. And the other question about the start and stop time wasn't that you could name a start and stop time. The question was really, why would you name or list a stop time? Not a start time, but a stop time, because no one really does that. Previous meetings were always looking at the clock, oh, it's 7:30, we gotta get out of here, we gotta get out of here. That didn't happen tonight, which was great. a lot of discussion, a lot of things are happening. So it wasn't really, can you announce its start time? You would clearly do that. Well, my question was really, why would you put a time limit on a meeting? Yeah, that was generally just the nature of those. And I think it's all good with the rules and procedures that you've adopted.
Okay.
Is the information that you get distributed, is that on the website anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can get it from there, otherwise
And
you're
you
gonna
just
have
go
to-
ludlow.vt.us/agendas, that's a
Okay.
shortcut.
That's what I had tonight. so,
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you. If not, I was gonna ask if somehow I could covertly be on your distribution list.
Yeah, if you ever see that I really, and I'm doing the select board of like anything that's presented late or make sure, hey, this gets in the packet for
Okay,
that.
I appreciate it.
So,
I tried to make the last meeting, which was on the 29th, but I was trying to pack up because my wife said, we're going home tomorrow.
we didn't miss much.
So,
It was all about 3 minutes.
oh, that was it, huh?
Good thing he went
Oh,
home.
this much.
Eric?
So you don't have other business on there. I just wanted to add one item if you're done with the agenda.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot going on, but something I think the board should look at some point. I'm not sure if you folks are familiar with the 802 housing initiative, the homes initiative. It would be something that'd be really of interest to this town, I think. And if you don't know what it is, I'll give you sort of a nutshell version. The state is working a housing plan, if you will, in certain communities, and what it is simply is they're creating, or a town would create 10 housing plans that would be pre-approved. So plans, full sets of plans, so if someone wanted to come in and build a home on their lot, they could go to the town planner, pick one of these 10 plans, and get a permit immediately to build. No DRB, it's all done. There's no expense, as we know. There's a huge cost upfront to be able to develop a piece of property or to build a home. $50,000 or $100,000, you can spend before you even know if you can do anything. This 802 initiative that the state has started gives towns a set plan, single families, two families. So if someone comes in and has a piece of property, wants to build it, they don't have to go through the whole process of hiring an engineer, an architect, going to the DRB. They can go to Aaron, say, we want to build a home. Aaron says, we have these 10 plans all pre-approved. If you pick one of these, I'll give you a permit today for it. And the next step above that is pre-approving actual parcels for this. Say, this parcel is pre-approved to build a home on. One of our plans, you come in, it's all free, the plans are free for the residents, already all done. Sketch, builder ready, all the drawings are done, 10 different plans. You come in, I want to build a home, no problem, Eric. If you pick one of these, we'll give you a permit today. It really promotes building and building quickly and saves someone an incredible amount of money and time, to go through the whole process. The state has done a pilot in 3 different towns now.
How do they account for utilities, water, sewer,
Yeah,
septic?
you still have to obviously put that stuff in, but the big expense for trying to build, maybe a 2-family or a 3-family is all the pre-cost to it. All the hard development costs, the architect, all the hearings, get in the full set of plans. This would all be done ahead of time. The town would have, and the town would choose their plans. These are the plans we have. If you want to choose one of these, you're good to go. You get a permit right there. And then, like I said, the second step of this is the town pre-approving certain lots. You can build this house on this lot, you're all set.
So that first phase hey, I can't build this home on a tiny little lot, or like it still needs to be in the right zoning district or things like that. But the building itself, if it meets setbacks and all these kind of things, good to go. Yep.
802, it's either 802 Home Initiative or 802 Housing Initiative. Just, you'll Google it and you'll see that they're working, and I forget the town, there's 3 towns that the state is doing a pilot program in right now with it. But it really just, it spurs development, and it really, for the regular folks that can't afford to go to the 250 in the DRB and get a set of plans, it really spurs that, regular local folks to be able to build something inexpensively.
So I think it's a great idea. I think as far as the parcel situation is concerned, I think some of that would already fall under, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Act 181 in the village, for whether single family.
The parcel piece of it is the second step that the state hasn't really jumped into yet. It's really a suggestion to have the individual towns look at these parcels and say, here's a parcel that's prime for development. If you buy this parcel, here's the plans, build away.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, I think part of that, would you assume that, Aaron, that some of that would already be under Act 181 for the village? Like
It's a completely different thing than Act 181. This is, it's a part of it. It's exactly what Eric's saying.
Yeah.
Act 181 is legislative. This is more of like a package kind of deal. And I haven't been reading up on it a lot, so I'm familiar with it, but I'm not an expert.
Well, I was just thinking about the parcel
Interesting
side of it, because you can already build a multi-unit dwelling on that parcel. That's all the reason I was saying. That's all. But thank you, Aaron.
We have done something similar in New Jersey, especially areas that are designated in need of redevelopment, where the town actually will create plans and schematics of parcels that could be redeveloped, looking for a developer to come in and then take it to fruition. But the groundwork is laid, the hearings have been done through the planning board or zoning board of adjustment, or typically it's also a redevelopment agency gets to review them. So just for my edification, in Vermont, do residential projects have to go through the DRB also?
No.
Oh.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah, okay.
There's a threshold.
Yeah, because
So-
in New Jersey, and again, if you, hope you don't mind me bringing it up, I'm learning, so that's why. Anything that's residential that doesn't need a variance or anything is handled by the zoning officer and then the construction code officials. So we have more regulations in New Jersey. There's one for breathing now, too. So.
Just one thing, Noah.
Yeah.
Terry and I, like a year ago, I guess it was, wrote a grant for an electric charging car station. And long story short, we decided it would go the best at the electric company on Pond Street, and at the village trustees meeting, it got approved. And so there's going to be an electric charging station for the employees at the electric company on Pond Street, but it'll also be for the public. But it was supposed to, grant was just to be for the employees of the town, so that if they had an electric car, they could charge it. And so they would pay the Ludlow rate at like 15 cents a kilowatt. And then anybody else that wanted to charge there would pay a higher rate, which would help pay for the maintenance of it and the warranty on it. So that went through.
Awesome.
So it was awesome. It's a level 2, and across the street, Benson Chevrolet has a level 3, and they charge like $57 a kilowatt or something like that, 57 cents a kilowatt. So it's a lot cheaper for employees. Hopefully it'll attract employees.
Yeah.
That's right.
And finally, we will have done something.
Yeah.
Alternative energy.
All right, does anybody else have anything before we call it?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.